Hey guys, Miss King here, and in this screencast, we are going to look at the process, the detailed process of photosynthesis. So let's start at the beginning. We need to go back and make sure we know our equation. We're going to use 6 carbon dioxides. And I know we said earlier in our equation that there's 6 waters, but in order for you to see the process and for everything to add up correctly, we're going to use 12 waters. Okay, so we're going to use an equation that's not completely reduced. We also know that we need light energy, so sunlight. And then we're going to make for our product sugar, C6H12O6. And then we're going to have a waste product of 6 oxygens, so 6O2, sorry that's an O. And because we used 12 waters over here, we're also going to have a waste of 6 H2Os. All right. So what we have here on the screen is a big giant chloroplast because that's where photosynthesis takes place in the cells. Remember we said in the chloroplast these big green discs that we have are called thylakoids. Let's label those. Thylakoids. All right. This is the area. There are 2 parts to photosynthesis. The first part is called the light reactions. So this is the area where the light reactions will occur. The light reactions take place in the thylakoid discs because that's where the chlorophyll is located. So these guys contain the chlorophyll. Remember we said chlorophyll is a pigment and pigments absorb light. So the chlorophyll, this is the area in the chloroplast that's going to absorb the light energy for us from the sun. Over here in what I call the dark side, the dreary gray area, that part of the chloroplast, remember we called that the stroma. Don't mix that up with stomata. The stroma is the area where the Calvin cycle will occur. So that's the second part to photosynthesis. And that sometimes is called the dark reactions. That's why I call this the dark side. So the reactions aren't dark themselves. They can take place in the light. We call them the dark reactions because they don't require light energy for that part of the reaction. But we're going to call it the Calvin cycle. All right, so those are the parts of our chloroplast where our photosynthesis is going to take place. So if we start at the beginning, let's come up here. Oops. There we go. Let's come up here to the top. The first thing that's going to need to happen is we know that we're going to need some sunlight. So the sunlight is going to come down, it's going to enter the leaf, and it's going to zap the thylakoid discs. It's going to zap that chlorophyll. And when it zaps it, the chlorophyll is going to absorb the energy from it. So this is actually the first thing that happens. So let's label this number 1. Let's put light energy. Light energy is absorbed by the chlorophyll. Okay, so the light energy comes down and it zaps the chlorophyll, and that creates some very high energy electrons. Okay, those high energy electrons are going to be used to do 2 things. Let's put number 2 right here. There's 2 number 2s. We'll put another number 2 right here. Okay, so the first part of step 2, we're going to use a little bit of our energy from the chlorophyll to make ATP. Okay, so we're going to use energy to make ATP. There we go. All right. Now, we're going to use a little bit of the light energy to also come over here to this part where it says photosystem 1, and we're going to use some of that energy. Energy is used. And we're going to split 12 water molecules. Okay, so here's our 12 water molecules that we're going to use. Now, where does the water come from? It doesn't just sit inside the chloroplast. It has to come from somewhere. So let's put over here to the side that the 12 H2Os, we should know that water molecules, they come from the root of the plant. Okay, all right, so that water is going to enter right here. It's going to come from the root up through the plant until it gets into the leaf and reaches the chloroplasts. All right, now once we have our water molecules, the sunlight will come down, zap our chlorophyll. Some of the energy will be used to make ATP. Some of the energy will be used to split our water molecules into two. So we will have 12 oxygens. Okay, so that's here's 12, and then there's oxygens. And then we will have 12 times 2 is 24, so 24 hydrogens. Okay, now the plant doesn't need oxygen to do photosynthesis. So these 12 oxygens, let me change my pen. These 12 oxygens are actually going to exit the plant. Okay, they leave the chloroplast, they exit out of the plant through the stomata. Now those were the little guys on the bottom of the leaf, the little holes on the bottom of the leaf. Okay, so step 3, we're going to lose 6 water molecules. Okay, so these 12 O's, that's 6 O2s. Okay, they're going to leave the plant through the stomata. We don't need them. Once those once those oxygen molecules are gone, we're going to come back over here, and our 24 hydrogens are going to move over a little bit. We'll call this, this will be our number 4. Put number 4. These guys are actually very high energy atoms. These hydrogens, they're ready to go. They're ready to bond to something. So if they just kind of float along by themselves and just go where they need to go by themselves, they're going to find the first molecule they can, and they're going to attach. So we don't want that to happen. We need these hydrogens to make our sugar. See, up here at the top, we need 12 hydrogens. So these hydrogens can't just hang out by themselves. We're going to bring them over here, and we're going to add the hydrogens to what's called NAD, P+. Okay, NAD+P+ is a special energy carrier. So let's put that that's an energy carrier. Okay, it's just a special molecule that will hang on to our hydrogens without letting the energy be released, without letting those hydrogens wander off and bond wherever they want to. So these guys are just kind of holding the energy for us until it's needed. Okay, once the hydrogen connects to the NAD+P+, it becomes NADPH. Okay, and there's our hydrogens right there, the H. Okay, so once we have our NADPH created, what's going to happen next is our NADPH and our ATP will both come out into the stroma, or do what I say, they go to the dark side. So let's put that they're going to go to the dark reactions, or the dark side. Okay, we need the NADPH and we need the ATP to do the second part, to do the Calvin cycle, which is the second part of photosynthesis. All right, so our ATP and our NADPH which is really just our hydrogens. They're going to come up here and they're going to combine with our 6 carbon dioxides. Okay, so this is where a big chemical reaction will occur. These guys are all going to combine together. Okay, so where did our carbon dioxide come from? It doesn't just hang out inside the chloroplast. The water didn't just hang out in here. It had to come from somewhere. So let's come over here, number 5, part 5. Our 6 carbon dioxides are going to enter into our leaf and into our chloroplast through, again, the stomata. Okay, so those stomata, those little pores, allow the CO2 into the leaf, and then the CO2 travels into the chloroplast. All right, and once that CO2 combines with our NADPH, we're going to take, the ATP is our energy that we're going to use for the chemical reaction. We're going to take these hydrogens and we're going to take these CO2s and we're going to use them to make C6H12O6. And that molecule is our glucose. Okay, that's our product, our main, this is what we want to do for photosynthesis. This is the whole purpose. This is the food's plant, or excuse me, the plant's food. Okay. All right, so let's take account, if we look at our molecules or our atoms up here, we had 24 of these hydrogens. Right here it says 24 hydrogens, so there's 24 of them from our NADPHs. But C6H12O6, that means that there's 24 here and only 12 in our molecule. That means that we have, let's come down here, we have 12 hydrogens left over. All right, 6 carbons in our carbon dioxide, 6 carbons in our glucose. And then 6 times 2 is 12, so that's 12 oxygens, but there's only 6 oxygens in our glucose. So we've also got 6 extra oxygens here. Now, what in the world can we do with 12 hydrogens and 6 oxygens, you ask? Well, we can make them exit our plant in the form of 6 water molecules. 6 H2Os. 6 times 2 is 12, and then 6 times 1 is 6. So there's 6 waters, and these guys are going to leave the plant again through the stomata. Okay, but not in the form of liquid water. It's going to leave in the form of a water vapor through the process of, that's right, transpiration. Okay, so that's just evaporating the water out of the plant through transpiration. All right, and that is the process of photosynthesis. We have 6 carbon dioxides. Here's our 6 carbon dioxides. 12 waters. Here's 12 waters right here. We took some of the oxygen out over here, and we used our hydrogens for our NADPH. We made a product of glucose. So here's our product, glucose. 6 more oxygens. And then 6 waters that we had to leave our chloroplast. Okay? All right, and that's the process of photosynthesis. We need to know those steps from memory. We need to know what's the product of each reaction, what's the reactants for each reaction, all these intermediates. So be prepared to go through these steps and talk about this stuff in class.